He gathered them around him and spoke, "My dear students, as you can see, I am growing old and slow. I can no longer provide for the needs of the temple as I once did. I know I have not yet taught you to work for money, and so I can only think of one thing that can keep our school from closing." The students grew close with eyes wide. Our nearby city is full of wealthy people with more money in their purses than they could ever need. I want you to go into the city and follow those rich people as they walk through the crowded streets or when they walk down the deserted alleyways. When no one is looking, and only when no one is looking, you must steal their purses from them. That way, we will have enough money to keep our school alive. "But Master," the boys chorused in disbelief, "you have taught us that it is wrong to take anything that does not belong to us." "Yes, indeed I have," the old monk replied. "It would be wrong to steal if it were not absolutely necessary. And remember, you must not be seen. If anyone can see you, you must not steal. Do you understand?" The boys looked nervously from one to the other. Had their beloved teacher gone mad? Is he really asking them to risk their integrity? His eyes shone with intensity such as they had never seen before. "Yes, Master," they said quietly. "Good," he said. "Now go, and remember, you must not be seen." The boys got up and quietly began to file out of the temple building. The old monk rose slowly and watched them go. When he turned back inside, he saw that one student was still standing quietly in the corner of the room. "Why did you not go with the others?" he asked the boy. "Do you not want to help save our temple?" "I do, Master," the boy said quietly. "But you said we had to steal without being seen. I know there is no place on earth that I would not be seen, for I would always see myself." "Excellent!" exclaimed the teacher. "That is just the lesson that I hoped my students would learn, but you were the only one to see it. Run and tell your friends to return to the temple before they get us in trouble." The boy ran and got his friends, who were nervously gathered just out of sight of the temple, trying to decide what to do. When they returned, the master told them the words that the boy had spoken, and they all understood the lesson. We will sing our children and youth to their programming with Jami. It's hymn number 413 in the gray hymnal. And as we do so, I will light this chalice flame of the love and community that we extend to them to be held together in their time.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the light of love surround you everywhere. May the light of love surround you everywhere, everywhere, you may
Now is the time in our service where we take our offering for the work and welfare of this church. Ours is a free faith which must sustain itself financially. There are 3 options to make a donation today. You can go to our website, uutarpon.org, and click on the donate button. You can mail your offering to the church at 57 Reed Street, Tarpon Springs, Florida 34689. Or, for those who are in person today in the sanctuary, you can place your offering in the offering plates as they are passed. The offering will now be given and received.
Before our reading this morning, we'll take a brief moment of silence, allow you to settle into yourselves and your seat as is comfortable. Maybe take a few deep breaths into your belly if you can. Our reading today comes from Parker Palmer. This is an excerpt from his Let Your Life Speak. He writes, "In my early 40s, I decided to go on the program called Outward Bound. I was on the edge of my first depression, a fact I knew only dimly at the time, and I thought Outward Bound might be a place to shake up my life and learn some things I needed to know. In the middle of a week-long course off the coast of Maine, I faced the challenge I feared most. One of our instructors backed me up on the edge of a cliff 110 feet above solid ground. He tied a very thin rope to my waist, a rope that looked ill-kempt to me and seemed to be starting to unravel, and told me to start rappelling down that cliff. Do what? I said. Just go, the instructor explained in typical Outward Bound fashion. So I went and immediately slammed into the ledge some 4 feet down from the edge of the cliff with bone-jarring, brain-jarring force. The instructor looked down at me. I don't think you've quite got it. Right, said I, being in no position to disagree. So what am I supposed to do? The only way to do this, he said, is to lean back as far as you can. You have to get your body at right angles to the cliff so that your weight can be on your feet. It's counterintuitive, but it's the only way that works. I knew he was wrong, of course. I knew that the trick was to hug the mountain to stay as close to the rock face as I could. So I tried again, my way, and slammed into the next ledge, another 4 feet down. You still don't have it, the instructor said helpfully. Okay, I said. Tell me again what I'm supposed to do? Lean way back, said he, and take the next step. The next step was a very big one, but I took it, and wonder of wonders, it worked. I leaned back into empty space, eyes fixed on the heavens in prayer, made tiny, tiny moves with my feet, and started descending down the rock face, gaining confidence with every step. I was about halfway down when the second instructor called up from below. Parker, I think you'd better stop and see what's just below your feet. I lowered my eyes very slowly so as not to shift my weight, and saw that I was approaching a deep hole in the face of the rock. To get down, I would have to get around that hole, which meant I could not maintain the straight line of descent I had started to get comfortable with. I would need to change course and swing myself around that hole to the left or to the right. I knew for certainty that attempting to do so would lead directly to my death. So I froze, paralyzed with fear. The second instructor let me hang there, trembling, in silence, for what seemed like a very long time. Finally, she shouted up these helpful words. Parker, is there anything wrong? To this day, I do not know where my words came from, though I have 12 witnesses to the fact that I spoke them. In a high, squeaky voice, I said, I don't want to talk about it. Then, said the instructor, it's time that you learned the Outward Bound motto. Oh, Keen, I thought, I'm about to die, and she's going to give me a motto. But then she shouted 10 words I hope I never forget, words whose impact and meaning I can still feel. If you can't get out of it, get into it. I had long believed in the concept of the Word become flesh, but until that moment, I had not experienced it. My teacher spoke words so compelling that they bypassed my mind, went into my flesh, and animated my legs and feet. No helicopter would come to rescue me. The instructor on the cliff would not pull me up with a rope. There was no parachute in my backpack to float me to the ground. There was no way out of my dilemma except to get into it. So my feet started to move, and in a few minutes, I made it safely down. Why would anyone want to embark on a daunting inner journey? Because there is no way out of one's inner life, so one had better get into it. On the inward and downward spiritual journey, the only way out is in and through.
Life is a short embrace.
So today we're doing something unusual. Not as unusual as last week's service for anybody who was here last week, but more unusual than what we usually do. In place of a traditional sermon for this service, I thought it might be interesting to try something that we've sort of done before, but also not really. So I've asked Mark Hopkins to come up with some questions that he is going to ask me, and I will answer in a kind of dialogue. He sent me questions several weeks ago before Christmas, so 2 lifetimes ago, and I just read them this morning for the first time, and he may have changed them since then, but we're going to have fun, and he's going to ask me questions, and I'm going to answer them, and we'll see what comes up. And they will all be on the theme of finding our center, which is this month's spiritual theme.
All right. And by the way, there's some I have in my pocket that you didn't see before. The one's highlighted in yellow here. So be prepared, a little spontaneity. I'm really delighted to have this opportunity. I've had a lot of conversations with Reverend Kristina, and I've left feeling insight and wonder and some puzzlement from time to time. So I'm going to guess that you may experience some of the same. Let's just start at the basic level. What does it mean to find your center?
So this is a question I have been considering since I first read the themes that we chose for this year back in, August. And I thought, oh gosh, I can't wait to get to that one. So I am often a very visual thinker. I always feel like my 2 native languages are actually feelings and emotions and visuals. So the thing that comes up to me when I think about finding our center, the image that always comes up is of a seesaw or a teeter-totter, with the fulcrum in the middle and trying to find balance on the different sides, and how very rarely, especially if there's any motion at all or any weight shifting, there's never quite equal balance, and yet that's always the place that we try to come back to. So that's the image that comes to me, but it's interesting. Part of the reason why I was not super excited about this theme is because centering is not a word that I resonate with very strongly. For me, it's much more about being grounded. I feel like for me, being grounded has a different kind of connection and relationship with the world around us, whereas to me, centering is much more internal and more like a core identity kind of thing.
Do the 2 go hand in hand?
The 2 can go hand in hand for sure. Just for me, the resonance is around being grounded. But I do think it's important to be centered, so I guess I will say that.
Okay.
I feel like there was going to be more, but I'm off of it now, so we'll just keep going.
I'll give you ample chances.
Okay.
Can you describe what it feels like or has felt like in your life to feel centered? Like sports figures talk about being in the zone or something like that. What has that experience been for you?
Yeah.
You're not getting picked up in the mic.
Oh, thank you. Better?
Now you're centered. So. What was the question?
What's the experience like? What does it feel like to you to be centered?
Thinking about the feelings and emotions wheel, for me, being centered, there's a peacefulness and a contentedness and a sense of ease. That word has just been coming up to me a lot. I was thinking about our Christmas Eve service and something else that I read recently about, maybe it was actually the opening words this morning, about finding ease in risk. That sense of, I feel like when you're centered, you have those things. You have that peacefulness, you have contentedness, and you have a sense of ease that comes from within. I was thinking this morning, as I'm sure many of us do our best thinking when we're in the shower, about how for a long time I would probably have identified my sense of centering as being related to where I lived. I grew up in Northeast Ohio. I lived there for my entire life before I moved to Pennsylvania after I was over so many years, and then moved down here. And I was thinking about how much I love, it's the home of my heart, it always will be. There will be nothing ever that feels like home the way that the brick houses do on the east side of Cleveland to me. And being that centered, having that foundation, gave me some of the strength that I needed to be able to take more risks and to be able to just be like, oh, now I'm moving to Pennsylvania. And then later, oh, now I'm moving to Florida in the middle of a pandemic to a place that I've never even been to, let alone lived. So yes, the centering is important in different parts of our lives. And I think that when we have, the more centering we have, a lot of times the more that can help us grow.
I liked your use of the term ease in this conversation. I used to do group facilitation for a living, and I would often ask myself beforehand, what do I need to let go of to be truly available? And when the honest answer was nothing, I was at my best. Mm-hmm. Most often the honest answer was a lot, like appearing smart or appearing ready, so forth.
But we don't have time for all of that, so moving along.
Okay, I'm going to share a quote by Joy Harjo, who was two-time Poet Laureate of the United States, that gives another way of looking at our center. And after the quote, I'll get your thoughts. From Joy Harjo's book, Catching the Light. The traditional ways and rituals of all Earth's peoples are kept in containers of poetry, song, and story. It is how we know who we are, where we are coming from, and who we are becoming. So, Reverend Kristina, is there a container that holds your story? Something that you go to when you want to find, discover, rediscover your center?
I really love the image of a container for, how did she put it? The containers of poetry, song, and story. I absolutely love that. And the first thing that I thought of when I first read it earlier this morning, 2 hours ago, the first thing I thought of actually with the idea of a container is that is the kind of thing that I try to create when I do memorial services, which is absolutely my favorite thing to do in ministry. I'm not looking forward to doing anytime here, anytime soon, but it is absolutely my favorite thing to do. And I think that part of the reason for that is because it really tries to capture that idea of a container of poetry, song, and story, where we're telling the story of a person's life, we're sharing things that had meaning for them, we're singing songs that were meaningful to them and possibly to their loved ones, and incorporating all of that as a way to sort of this is a 1-hour summary of a person's life, and this is the way that we sort of move through honoring that as part of a ritual then for moving forward. Thinking about my own self, there isn't any one thing in particular that I go back to over and over again. But there are lots of things that I go back to over and over again. I've been absolutely delighted. There's a conversation that's been happening among my colleagues for the last couple of years. One of the many trends that is shifting in Unitarian Universalism is the idea that not everything needs to be new all the time. We don't need to do newness for newness sake, right? So every sermon doesn't have to be the greatest and most inspiring and most innovative and creative, and nobody's ever thought or heard of this thing ever in the entire history of mankind, humankind, in the history of ever, written word. But that coming back to the same stories is actually part of faith formation. So coming back to the same stories is part of the way that we learn, and by being able to revisit them, the stories, the songs, the poetry, whatever it is, the artwork, whatever it is that shapes us, that returning to it gives us an opportunity to reflect on where we've been, how we've grown, and what more we might learn that will keep us moving forward. And so for me, it's the stories. So I think of, my thought immediately went to a library where there's just different stories and poems and things that I come back to over and over again when I need a sense of grounding, of inspiration. There are definitely songs that do that for me. And I move in fits. So right now I'm listening to a lot of Queen.
Have you seen Bohemian Rhapsody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Another one, Bites the Dust. We Are Champions. Yeah, that's what's inspiring me to come to church right now. So that, I think that all of that is the key, and I really think it's important. This is one of the reasons why I really find value in doing holidays and doing liturgical seasons and reflecting on those different things every year. You know, think about the Passover story, which has been told for well over 3,000 years. And the point is not to have a new story every time, right? The point is to come back to the story and to revisit it and to find what speaks to us about it at this time, and to find new meaning, to understand it differently. I remember doing the Passover service in my teaching congregation, and one of the congregants who I'd known for a long time, her husband is Jewish, and they'd been doing Passover services for over 40 years. And she said, you know, I don't know why, but this year it was different. It was just a different experience. And so for me, that's part of it, is the wanting to come back to something over and over again. And so I love that idea of having a container. For me, it's a library. I think like most of us, it's probably a library. I've met us Unitarian Universalists, but yeah.
Yeah, this may really dumb down what you just said, but it reminded me of watching a favorite movie again and again.
Yes,
And I get another
I do a lot of too.
Okay.
TV shows, yeah.
You mentioned wisdom teachers earlier. One of my longtime teachers of wisdom is Gary Larson. And one of my favorite Far Side cartoons, the stream team will share to the group, and I have a copy for you. And I think it relates to our topic at hand. So what you see is a dog on a high wire on a unicycle, spinning a hula hoop, juggling balls with a vase on his head, and a cat providing who knows what part in this. And the caption reads, "High above the hushed crowd, Rex tried to remain focused. Still, he could not shake one nagging thought. He was an old dog, and this was a new trick." So, go with it.
Indeed. When I was in chaplaincy, it was not uncommon to find people who were struggling with something. Often when when the chaplain came, it boiled down to an important religious or spiritual belief that they were struggling with for some reason. But I would see it in people of all ages. Thinking about people who struggle with addiction or other challenges, people who have mental health issues, people who have chronic illnesses. One of the things that I think that this gets to, in my brain anyway, is that it can be really easy to get stuck in patterns and loops. And I've talked before about, I think it was a Rilke piece that I did over the summer, where Rilke says that too many people get stuck basically wearing grooves, pathways through their homes, and getting to know, like just these different parts of it, and not actually being willing to be out and doing things. And I understand what he was saying, and at the same time, I get overstimulated. And for me, those pathways are really important, in part not because, and for me, they aren't a confiner. Having that familiarity allows me, in my rich inner life, to do the exploring that I want to do. It allows my mind to wander, allows my heart to wander, allows my spirit to wander in a way that, because I'm not having to process all sorts of new stuff, right? I'm not being overwhelmed by all sorts of incoming stimulants. I think one of the things in my brain that this is getting to is that it's easy for us at times to get stuck in those patterns and to just become limited to them and by them. And that it's hard. I mean, it's actually doing brain science, they track trying to develop new neural pathways and things can be challenging. Overcoming trauma, that's one of the reasons why overcoming trauma is so difficult, is because those neural pathways are really, really set. And I don't know if this was the best attempt at trying to overcome some of that as a first attempt. Maybe taking something a little bit smaller, like one of those things would have been good enough. But actually trying to do that work of opening up and trying something a little bit different, or just doing something completely different, like being in Pennsylvania and moving halfway across the country to somewhere that you've never even traveled to. These are things that can really help us get launched into a different way. And of course, I say that I did move here. I've never been to Tampa before, but I had lots of support to be able to do that. Barbara Mellon went and visited all the places that I looked at, the apartments that I looked at before I came down here. I had meetings with a number of people on the board and with the interview team, the search team, and others. And so I had a sense of what I was getting into. I read about the church and all of those kinds of things. So it wasn't like I was coming in just completely like I just packed my bags one day and was like, I'm just moving over here now, which was helpful for me. I am definitely a planning person, but also like willing to take calculated risks. Maybe my dad's proud of me about that now. He was always worried that I didn't take enough risks. He always wanted me to do more crazy things when I was a kid. So now I'm doing big, weird, crazy things. So yeah.
There's some good stuff in there. And I think about the times in my life where I've actually used that phrase for myself, that I'm off the balance beam. And it's almost always been others who've helped me in friendship roles, family roles, or professional roles who've helped me get back. So that's cool.
Yeah, and I guess for me, that's one of the ways that I know when I'm in my center is when part of it for me is knowing that I'm always held. Like I'm never not going to be held, that there's always going to be people, there's always going to be kindness, there's always going to be community, even if I have to make it for myself, which I have done, just fine. I love doing it. It's who I am. But that sense of, not having a mortifying sense of failure, right? Like there is no actual failure. Like this is an experiment that we're doing right now for the first time. And, you know, I was anxious about it in part because I'm just coming out of vacation, and in case you couldn't tell, because I forgot to turn on the mics and stuff, my vacation brain was like pretty like turned on. So coming right back into this was a bit of a shift, but also, you know, like it's a lot of fun, and it's good for my brain, and it's good.
Remember
for
the
your brain.
rules of improv. There are no mistakes. Everything's a gift, and make your teammates look brilliant.
Yes. So thank you.
Yes. So here's a question that I'm sure you'll look brilliant. Center has many everyday meanings, from call center to shopping center to I'd like the center cut. What meanings can we carry into our spiritual lives, and how might that matter to us UUs?
So I think that's a two-part question. And I say that because as Unitarian Universalists, we never do things alone. So I mean, I know that there are people who identify as Unitarian Universalists who don't attend churches and stuff like that, but to me that's not really Unitarian Universalism. You actually have to be in a community with other people, because you can't be a covenantal faith by yourself. So for me, there's the being centered as an individual, and wanting to find practices and theologies or ideas that really strongly resonate with you personally, to help you find your center. And that can include stuff like the Tai Chi or yoga. It could include gardening or cooking, baking. I'm a cross-stitcher. I know you've got knitters and crocheters and artists of many, many kinds, and musicians of many, many kinds. And so I think that for a lot of folks, there are things that we have that really speak to us and help us get in the zone and feel centered. Mm-hmm. And those are really important. I think it's especially important and helpful in our congregations to have those practices that we rely on, that we are devoted to, as a way of being together. There's a sharing, there's the aspect of sharing that comes into it. And so we have a group of people who are really passionate about kayaking. We've got a bunch of people who are interested in other things. And so being able to share those things that really bring us joy are important, but also thinking about the covenantal nature of our faith, in that everything we do is relational. It's helpful and effective to be centered when engaging in conversations, especially more challenging ones.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, what I'm taking away from that is centering isn't just a individual space, but can also be a shared space.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
That. You put the clock here facing me probably for a reason, and it says 11:25. Do we have time for one more, or do we need to kind of...
One more?
Okay. So we have 5 smooth stones that represent our faith out in the garden: hope, love, justice, courage, and joy. A fact that some of you may not even know, we also have those same representations buried beneath the triptych on the border between this room and the social hall. During remodeling, some folks took it upon, and on behalf of us, to symbolize that literally in the foundation of this church. So, 5 smooth stones, what can they teach us about finding our center?
Wait, I have an idea.
Oh. You want to dig them up? No.
No. I know, right? Okay. Okay. Courage, love, joy.
Justice and
Justice.
hope. Hope, love, justice, courage, joy.
Okay. And how can those help us find our center?
Yeah, teach us or help us or point a way.
So my brain is already like setting them out and creating a circle and creating a star, and like that those things to be interconnected. And the best thing would be if we had them all around us and we just sat right in the middle. We had equal access to all of those things all of the time. This is definitely, centering for me is definitely one of the challenges about why it's so evasive in so many ways is because I don't think it is any one thing. It's all of those things, but having access to all of them at the same time, so that when one or more of them have too much energy, the balance is thrown off, and then we are not as centered. There was something else there and it's gone. Oh, so what I wrote down was thinking about the 5 smooth stones, and then I want to go back to, this is like sermon idea.
Never waste one.
No, never waste one. This is totally how my brain works in real life. So I was thinking when you read the 5 smooth stones, the things that were encapsulated, they're somewhat similar to the elements when I did the article. I did the service on December 4th and talked about the Article 2 Commission and the way that they've been reordering things and thinking about removing the principles and the sources and focusing on different things. The 5 smooth stone elements are similar to the 6 elements, I think it was 6, that came out of the Article 2 Commission conversation that they were focusing on in their energy. So I was thinking about doing a comparison between the 5 smooth stones and the Article 2 elements.
I'm glad we've helped you.
Thanks.
Stay tuned. Coming to
May or
a
may not
church
become
near you
something.
soon. Okay, so in wrapping up, I'm sure you have closing words, but I have a closing sort of thought for you. A ways back, some of you may remember, we had a singer, storyteller, I think we were even over still in the Walton Center, and he did a performance and he described us as Unitarian Universalists. Yeah, that's the place you go to get your answers questioned. So be prepared.
Yes.
You've given us answers.
I will expect the questions. All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you. My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Our closing hymn is in the gray hymn book, number 6, Just As Long As I Have Breath. You may stand to sing if you wish.
In The Gift of Faith, Jean Harrison Newyar has written, in the lore of ancient China, there is a story of a philosopher who was asked, "Where is the road called hope?" He replied, "It does not exist, but as people move upon it, it comes into being." I invite you to continue moving forward on this path, this journey, exploring, finding our center together with me.
We hope that you have found meaning in today's service. We close with these words by Melissa Yater. We extinguish this chalice today, but we are illuminated by a faith that allows us to sit and think. In this quiet time, we can reflect in solitude, meditating on love, and growing out of our comfort. Though we experience discomfort, we are excited to give birth to a new, just world. The song.
Just one more.
Joyfully sing a new song.